welcome to Inconceivable. I'm William.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Wesley. And we're always talking, and it's always a speech, but no one's listening.
I still love that line so much. If you don't know what that's from the Dark Pheonix trailer.
Jace.
Which we'll be talking about a little bit later. But for now, Wesley, what do you have for us?
Well, joke's on you.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna be.
God! Just kill me now. It's gonna be a long podcast.
I'm gonna be talking about the new Joker stuff, like stuff released from the new Joker movie.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix is gonna play the Joker, and I'm really impressed. Like they've released, like I don't even know when it comes out, but they've already released like. It hasn't been a lot of stuff, but it's been like enough where you're really getting a good feel for what the movie's gonna be like.
Right.
I just like the response that it got because we got the Captain Marvel trailer and people were just like, oh, and then we got pictures from the Joker movie and people are just like, oh,
There's like lines, yeah. It's like way to steal the
hold
thunder.
my beer.
Yeah, way
Yeah.
to steal the thunder from Captain Marvel
Now,
coming out.
After seeing the way the Joker looked in, the Suicide Squad, I wasn't a big fan of it, but like seeing it in this one, it looks like he's gonna have it down. I think the kind of Joker that I personally enjoy.
right, I feel bad for Jared Leto. Yes, I feel like
I don't feel like it's his fault.
it's not his fault, and that's why I feel bad for him because he had a big thing, which is trying to follow up Heath Ledger. He was a lot of people's favorite Jokers, and nobody can deny the amount of dedication that he put into that part. And he really tried.
Yeah, Jared Leto put in a lot of dedication, a little too much.
Yeah, no, because
well,
he was trying to follow up Heath Ledger. Like he felt like he
was
had
being
a lot.
crazy,
Because they're both
sending stuff.
They're both method actors. That's how it is. You like become the person that you're playing for.
So,
and
I feel bad he put in so much work only to have the majority of it cut out, and then him not even getting a chance to redeem himself.
Before you even get started, like his character is basically shoehorned into the movie. It's like, all right, it's a Suicide Squad movie. We have to have the Joker in it.
Because Harley Quinn.
Would have made much more sense if maybe Joker was the bad guy for the movie.
They had a cartoon for that, right? They had the animated version where they had to break into Arkham Asylum and the Joker's in there.
Yeah, before Suicide Squad even came out, I thought Joker was going to be the bad guy. It would have been better, I think, because the whole Huntress arc was kind of
It wasn't
silly.
even really in the
I don't
trailer that much. And then it was like, this is such a B villain.
Yeah.
Or I'd even go so far as to say it's a C villain. I don't care at all. Is that a thing?
I don't know.
It is now. Yeah.
C-villain?
I know.
Sounds like Aquaman.
All I can think of is the Lego.
Stop it!
Oh, stop it! That's pretty good.
Get out!
That was good. I was just thinking of Lego Batman when he's listing all the villains' names, like Calendar Man. You can look him up; he exists.
Yes, I do want to say that the Joker in that movie is a fantastic Joker.
Totally
I know it's a parody,
underrated.
but still, he was
underrated.
pretty great. I liked him.
But so like the stuff that's come out for this Joker movie, how you say Joaquin Phoenix? Is that really how you say his name?
I'm gonna say it like that.
Joaquin Phoenix or whatever. His portrayal of the Joker looks very reminiscent of Heath Ledger's. But they took a chance on this. Well, I don't know if they feel like they took a chance on it, but when it comes to like portraying a character, they took a chance on using more traditional like Joker makeup for this one, but I think it actually really looks good. Yeah. First of all, it's different, which is nice, but you've still got the green, like greasy looking hair. I don't know. I really like at first I was like, "Huh, that's different." And then like I just steadily liked it more as I saw it.
I also agree. However, I'm not sure about his clothes. I like the clothing, but the color scheme is weird. It's like the same but different.
It's red and yellow as opposed to the purple one.
Yeah, it's different. I don't know
if that's planning on changing, because all I can think of is Captain Marvel, where we thought like, oh, what's with this green suit? But then we learn that it's part of a different section of the movie.
Even if it stayed that way, I wouldn't mind, because it still gives you that Joker feel, even though it's not precisely the right colors.
It's interesting, and I'm wondering if that's how it's going to be the whole movie, or if it's just for a portion of the movie, like we found out Captain Marvel is.
Yeah, well, here's another reason why I kind of like that makeup is because this is a Joker origin story, so you're getting to see basically his manic break and like what makes him the Joker. So this look could be progressive through the whole movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that would be interesting. And it makes sense that, like, he actually I was just looking at this before we started. The director just posted another picture, and it's of Phoenix but he's in a more like Bozo the Clown kind of makeup.
Yeah, I saw that
and
one.
so I think the story goes that he actually is a clown, like for work, and like that when he like breaks psychotically, he like transfers that persona. You know what I mean?
And I'm already super digging this movie from the trailer because I love the fact that we're finally having a movie that's based on the Joker. So we're finding, I'm really becoming more and more fond of movies that are humanizing villains, as bad as that sounds. But
making more relatable.
Giving more relatable villains, because I think we've been focusing on the heroes for so long that the villains have been being neglected so much to the point where they're just dumb and just to the point where they're just the nega person of hero.
Marvel's trope of And let's just face it, if a character is not relatable, it just doesn't work.
No.
So that's why Daredevil and Jessica Jones was such great villains with Kingpin and the Purple Man.
Oh yeah.
Kilgrave.
Which Kingpin's back, by the way.
Oh yeah, the new trailer for it's coming out next month. I didn't know it was coming so quickly.
Yeah, October.
They kind of do that with the shows.
I was gonna say the Netflix shows do sneak up on you. Yeah.
Sometimes with their movies, they just come out the next day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Flashback to Paradox.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was almost a year ago now.
Yeah.
No, that was like 7 months ago.
Are you talking about the Cloverfield?
Oh, yeah, maybe
yeah, exactly.
Movie.
Yeah. But anyway, so like, and then people are still theorizing like the connection that this movie will have to the DCU. I think they've been pretty clear that it's standalone, but there's all kinds of people running around the internet like, oh, this is the real Joker for Ben Affleck's Batman, and all those theories about Jason Todd being Jared Leto's Joker, true. Like, probably not, but
is it though?
I really doubt it, but you can think that. I'm pretty sure it's a standalone, which is fine. It's just fine. I've already explained on this show a couple of times why I think that's actually a really good idea to do your universe and then also still do standalones. Right. DC does that with their comic books anyway. So,
and speaking of comic books, since you're fairly well versed in comics, I say, especially compared to us, what is, like, I'm sure he has multiple backstories, but what is the main backstory for Joker?
There isn't one. Right? There isn't one, but like the Killing Joke comic book is like the most popular, like look into what his life might have been before, because it actually shows you, because like in this Joker movie you actually get to see the guy's face like without the makeup. That's him, and I forget that he has a name. I forget what name it is, but they've given Joker a real name for this movie. I can't remember what it is. You want to look that up real quick?
Yeah.
But they do that in The Killing Joke, too. You actually see his real face. You see that he's got a wife and a baby, and he's all stressed out because he's a stand-up comic and stuff like that. So this isn't the first time that they've actually shown you who the person really is underneath. So it's cool. They're definitely taking material from that.
Right. But for the most part, I guess, since there's actually not a lot to work with the comics, they're kind of making new territory.
Oh, they'll make it, which is totally fine because Joker makes up his own backstory all the time. It's never the
really?
same. Yeah, it's never the same. Yeah. In fact, I think at one point Batman did find out who the Joker was, but the comics never tell you what he found out. Like it's like one of those things where like he figures it out, but you still don't know as like the reader.
So this is big tease.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe that was a cliffhanger and it's been resolved now. I might like I have better comic book knowledge than most people do, but I don't actively read them, so I'm still missing out on some things.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything about his real name.
Are you sure? Because I know
his name was Jack Napier in the 1989 Batman film.
Yeah. Because they did release a name though. But anyway, you guys have seen the trailers, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've seen it all over.
There's a couple. Like I saw a teaser and there was an actual trailer, and I think it's really
Arthur. And there should be a last name. Cool. Arthur. Sorry to interrupt you.
No,
I didn't expect to find it so quickly. Where is he?
Where is she?
Yeah. Where is Arthur Fleck? Okay. So that's his name.
Right. Because Affleck.
Yep.
Affleck.
Oh! I didn't even put that
Affleck.
together.
I
wonder if they did that on purpose.
That.
Did they really do that on purpose?
I don't know, but it's funny.
Okay. Although I will say, I can't say for sure if the name is a placeholder for now or if it will actually be his character's name in the movie.
Right.
But it does have a name right now.
I have a feeling they're totally going to ignore that. Because I feel like because there has been a well-established backstory for Joker, they're just going to have at it and just like, we feel like this is going to be the best. Because movies already have to do that anyways.
Yeah.
So...
Well, yeah, and... and like you're saying, I'm really excited because they can just kind of do their own thing with this. Yeah.
They're not going to have a backlash of comic loyalists who's going to be like, no, this really.
Yeah. I think they'll understand, like with the makeup and stuff. Like if you're going to bring this, like he didn't just like look exactly like the Joker as soon as he started. You know what I mean? Like things don't happen like that. Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man didn't have his famous suit right off the bat. You know what I mean? Batman didn't go look back at Batman Year One. So things don't happen like lickety split.
I think this will. Hopefully, this is the most promising... To be honest, this looks more promising than Aquaman. Because Aquaman looks like it's going to be good, but it looks like it's about to be a very safe movie,
Yeah, I know what you mean, and you're probably right, because it's going to be dark and down to earth, and it's like a drama.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because when I look at this, I'm excited about this movie.
And it's a character movie. It focuses on him instead of a plot necessarily.
Yeah.
That's why I was really intrigued by Gotham, even though it wasn't an amazing
down the hill.
Yeah. It was an amazing show, but at the same time it was more on the ground, street level. This is where all the
it got way too ambitious for its own good.
I don't know. I just stopped watching. I don't know if I'm going to go back to it or not. It's not that great.
No.
First season was okay.
What were you saying?
I was saying how Aquaman seems like it's going to be a good but safe movie because DC needs to stop freaking watching Marvel. I know you want to copy Marvel's success and everything like that, but you just got to stop because it's so obvious that that's what they're trying to do, and it's so obvious that that's why they're shooting themselves in the foot because they don't know how to do it.
I think they're done doing it. Like I've said, they just need to focus on the solo movies.
This Joker movie is a step in the right direction.
Even without the Joker movie, you have Shazam and Aquaman that are actually a part of their universe,
Wonder Woman,
Wonder Woman 1984.
I am a little bit more concerned about that one because I feel like
that's their Iron Man.
No, I know. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just worried that they're going to get too cocky about Wonder Woman. They're like, we can do whatever now because the first one, I don't think they're going to understand where the success came from because they didn't do a good job with Wonder Woman in Justice League, and that's why I'm worried.
But it was a different director.
I realized that.
Yeah.
Is it the same director from the first one?
Yes.
Okay.
Patty Jenkins.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so there's a little bit of faith there, but I'm still worried because DC's habit is that as soon as they get an ounce of confidence, they immediately take 5 steps backwards.
Yep. Just all right, we're in the clear now. Let's do it. And then they're even farther back, and they
start. Have the studio stay away from the movies when they're being worked on.
I feel like DC really. I like the Joker movie because I feel like this is something that's unique to them. Joker is one of the most beloved villains ever. Marvel has a very hard time with villains. Yeah. And DC should...
Well, it doesn't help that your company copies villains from DC all the time, so some of them end up being more popular, but let's take the most popular ones for a second. Thanos, Darkseid came first.
Yep.
They're very, very similar character. There's other ones that I'm blanking on right now, but they're there. You have them all over the place.
And
is
Marvel...
Steppenwolf Ronin at all?
I don't know.
Like I said,
Steppenwolf isn't really that
Marvel's
big a
been much
be
better about their villains recently, especially in their past few movies.
Yeah.
But like I said, for the longest time they had the trouble of just it's Iron Man and Nega Iron Man. It's Iron Man, but he's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just so tired of that trope with the Marvel.
And don't have a mirror image except give them a darker armor. Okay?
Yeah, it's Ant-Man, but it's a
he's
evil
Ant-Man.
Yeah.
He's a wasp.
Deadpool, Deathstroke. Plenty of people still love Deathstroke, but Deadpool is way more popular. Yeah, but Deathstroke came first.
But
so you just have
that being said, DC has more interesting and unique villains, and I'm saying that as a Marvel fan. DC just straight up has better villains, but they're not utilizing them. But this could be the step in the right direction of them really utilizing that, because that's another thing. I don't know if have they announced who the villain is in Aquaman?
Yeah,
they have a couple of those.
Black Manta is in it, and it's Ocean Master, his adopted brother,
right.
or like his half brother.
Because I'm more interested in Ocean Master. Because
really,
Black Manta is a little bit. He's not Nega Aquaman, but he's kind of in that territory.
No, actually,
cool.
Actually, Ocean Master is more Nega Aquaman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I've got it backwards.
Because they're both Atlanteans.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Black Manta's an Atlantean too, but he's got a suit.
I think that's
like
another reason.
With
with
laser
big eyes and
yeah.
lasers.
That's another thing that I hated so much about the Superman movie, with it just being what's his face?
No,
Zod?
I thought Zod was a great villain.
I thought he was pretty decent.
I thought he was really, I thought Zod was one of the best things about Man of Steel.
He did yell a lot, though.
Well, yeah.
I just wasn't. I'm not a
Okay.
big fan of that movie in general.
Got it.
But yeah, no, I feel like this is I keep repeating this. It's a step in the right direction, and I want them to keep doing these types of ideas that you could tell this Joker movie has nothing to do with Marvel. This is something that they want to do that's playing on their strengths. Mm-hmm. It's not a response to anything that Marvel has done. It's just them doing DC, and that's what they need to do.
Yeah, definitely.
DC be DC.
Can I just say,
yes.
So the Shazam movie, which I'm like really excited for. Who's the guy that plays Shazam again? Is
Zachary Levi.
Zachary Levi. He is such a cool guy.
Okay.
So I started following him on like Twitter. He's so cool. Like he's I don't know why. I just felt like that was really worth saying.
Something that I forgot and then I noticed recently is that he was actually in Thor 2 and 3. He's the blonde hair guy.
He is.
It's so weird.
Yeah, this isn't the first time he's been in a superhero movie.
He died very quickly. Spoiler alert. Thor Ragnarok,
died.
He done dead. He didn't.
Dead.
I think he said something like, "Hey, you," and got killed.
And then squashed. What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, quick update. Stop following IGN's fake news on Henry Cavill. He's still playing Superman. Like I don't know why I don't know why they took that headline to begin
rumor,
with.
So people were just gonna run with it.
Yeah, but like IGN loses. Like no offense, they lose like more credibility every day in my eyes. They're
supposed to be focused on video games, so I think when it comes to non-video game content, they're a little trigger happy. They want to be relevant.
I lost respect for IGN when they were doing like a trailer analysis, and they were doing it for The Hobbit, and they said, "Oh, this character is such a bad character." I'm like, no, you got it completely wrong. It's a very okay character.
No, you dumb.
Well, they're saying Radagast Brown is like an evil sorcerer. I'm just like, he's really not. He's the animal lover. He's the plant
I was done with the IGN when Greg and Moriarty left. Those are my favorite people.
I didn't know anybody in IGN.
They're the guys that Kind of Funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The branch off of Rooster Teeth. And they're super awesome. But
just to clarify, there was a rumor going out, like that had to. So Henry Cavill, however you want to say his name, I don't know. I haven't heard him say his own name, so.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah. Henry Cavill. Okay. Anyway, Henry, he took the job as Geralt in The Witcher for Netflix, which is super cool. He was like campaigning for that, and they were like, "Yes, we want you to do it." Cool. So like that, coupled with DC's lack of success lately, for some reason made people think that he wasn't going to be playing Superman anymore. I think there's some contract stuff that made people think that too. But it got blown way out of proportion, and everybody seems to be ignoring the fact that his agent made an official statement that he is still playing Superman. So like, why you do this?
Is there any update on Ben Affleck being Batman or not?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But yeah.
I really hope he is. I think he did really good in Batman v Superman, and then he just got the short end of the stick in Justice League.
Yeah. There's things they could have done better, and things that they did. There's things they did well, and things they could have done better. I really feel all throughout this.
This kind of reminds me. I've been watching a lot of Spider-Man stuff lately, and stuff like that. And I want to be clear in all my rants about the new Spider-Man movie. I don't hate Tom Holland. I like Tom Holland, and I like him as Spider-Man.
You just have a hard time letting go.
No. If you love me,
let me go. Continue.
I don't like the studio's portrayal of Spider-Man. Because I was watching a video that finally.
I don't know. I completely disagree with you on this, though. Okay, I think Tom Holland's the most comic accurate Spider-Man.
He's a good boy.
Okay.
He's a good boy.
He's a very good boy.
I think Tom Holland's Spider-Man is a fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm going to make this real short.
Okay.
I think this Tom Holland is an amazing MCU Spider-Man, and the things that they changed made sense for what Marvel has already established within the movies. That being said, that all at being the cost of basically replacing Tony Stark. I'm sorry, replacing Uncle Ben.
Uncle Bun!
Benjamin Button! Uncle Benjamin Button!
Replacing Uncle Ben with Tony Stark. I get why they do it. But
I get why they do it.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I get.
That's not really what they did, though.
The button and the dude.
The things they changed about Spider-Man, they didn't really change about Spider-Man. They just changed them about previous movie Spider-Mans. The things they changed about Spider-Man actually made him more like
Am I not
Spider-Man.
allowed? But am I not? Just because it wasn't comic book accurate does not mean I'm not allowed to love the original Spider-Man movies.
Okay, the thing is, though, something that I can agree with Will on this is that basically they are hinging on the fact that if we should have seen the other movies to understand who Spider-Man is in the MCU movies.
I don't think it's like that. I don't think it's you should have seen those. I think it's everyone's seen those. Right. Not like I don't think it's a you should have. It's just a matter of fact that those movies have been around forever and there's so many of them. And they're like so popular.
I'm not against with them skipping ahead in his timeline, but the thing is that now this is also the youngest Spider-Man, so it's kind of conflicting where it feels like they want him to be further ahead and more mature, but then he's also not because he's younger, but then he's not going through the same stuff that Spider-Man normally would be going through with Uncle Ben because he's younger but also older. That's
all they did. Uncle Ben always dies before Spider-Man really gets his ball rolling. All they did was skip past the Uncle Ben thing.
Yeah, but
that's all they did.
But Uncle Ben is always heavily mentioned and a part of Spider-Man's lives after that, and it's not even mentioned.
Well, it doesn't mean he can't be, but like bigger things have happened. You know what I mean? Like I think they've been able to get away with not mentioning Uncle Ben so much because there's so much bigger things happening right now all of a sudden. You know what I mean? In fact, he's actually like dead right now, so he can't even really talk about Uncle Ben.
Yeah, I realize.
He's dead.
But just the whole thing with Spider-Man's core motives are just different in this movie. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's different, and I prefer the Uncle Ben storyline to this Tony Stark storyline. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that this Spider-Man is bad. I'm not saying that Tom Holland is a bad Spider-Man. Because Tom Holland, without a doubt, is the most well-rounded Spider-Man of all. Yeah. I still would make an argument that Tobey Maguire does a much better job of displaying the emotions that he went through with Uncle Ben and stuff like that. And Tom Holland, admittedly, I don't think he would have done as well if he was given that same storyline. I feel like they matched what they had pitched for this Spider-Man with the actor perfectly.
Here's an interesting thought. Say Marvel never accepts the Venom movie into their canon. What if they bring Andrew Garfield back to be the Spider-Man for the Venom universe?
That would be super interesting.
I think that would be really cool if Marvel doesn't want to.
Do you think Andrew Garfield would be game for that?
Are you kidding me? Do you remember that video where he was pretending to be Spider-Man and somebody gave him $5 and he's like, yes!
Oh, yeah. So he's still pretty fond of it.
Cause sure he would
probably. He's got to be a little bit salty because he never got to finish that trilogy. Yeah. It was not meant to end at the second movie.
Because Sony can still have their own Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't, like, I don't think there's any part of the deal that says the only Spider-Man they're allowed to have is the one that they are currently partnering with Marvel for.
But anyways,
because there's 2 Quicksilvers right now.
Off that tangent, I'd love to have a more in-depth conversation about Spider-Man once something relevant to Spider-Man comes out again. But right now we
went from Joker to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Real fast. Anyway.
But anyways, I'm gonna change up a little bit.
Conversating.
Yeah, I'm gonna be talking about something actually rather sad. One of a once beloved game maker, Telltale Games, is going out of business. They are the ones who made the Telltale Walking Dead series, which was a huge hit. It was not their first game, mind you. A lot of people think of that as like their first game, but they've done plenty of games before that. That was their first breakout game.
There's been reports of them like breaking labor laws too, I think.
Yeah, so there's a lot. I'll get into that. There's a lot of drama. So basically, Telltale Games having financial problems. Their games are not selling as well as they used to. They got a ton of hype from Walking Dead. They expanded the company, did all the 9 yards, and then it's just been a long, slow decline since then. Because Walking Dead, that came out like years ago.
I was still in high school, I think.
Like 5 years ago?
Yeah.
I want to say around 5 years ago was that when that came. And they've been riding that hype for the longest time with not a single... I think there's been one... Oh, The Wolf Among Us. That was their other breakout
they did
hit.
Batman.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
but they did it,
Batman
but it wasn't like a big
series.
hit. Like,
Well, didn't The Wolf Among Us only have one season?
yeah, and they've been working on season 2 for a long time now.
Oh,
and
okay.
now it's not going to come out.
Yeah.
But because that was, I believe, their own original thing. And
No.
that was, it wasn't?
No,
never mind.
it's a story. It's another, like...
Okay.
Yeah.
But that being said, if you've never seen Telltale games, their games are the choose your own adventure, multiple choice kind of things, like Beyond Two Souls, Detroit Become Human, and there's other games. Those are both from the same maker, but that type of game where you're choosing your own story through the choices that you make, and your choices have consequences.
It's the first game that I played that offered that, but it was like real-time choices.
Yeah.
Like you only had a certain amount of time to pick the option you wanted to pick.
And it's kind of interesting because, yeah, Telltale was not the first game company at all to do that. Heavy Rain was the first breakout game that I can recall that did that kind of thing.
Yeah, but it was also PlayStation only.
Yeah,
so
but Telltale, man, that had a breakout, and I think it's because they rode the hype of Walking Dead, which was in its prime at
when
that time.
When that came out, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a good combination, and they did a good job with the story, and a lot of people loved it, and it was also a huge hit with the Let's Players, which is an underrated thing about how popular a game is.
Spoiler alert, I never played past the first season because they killed the main character from the first season off at the end.
Yep.
And I just felt like it was a really good choice for the story of the first season, but it was not a good choice if they wanted to continue to make more seasons. You know what I mean?
If they stopped there, that would have been great.
It was a really good twist, but it didn't really leave you with enough momentum to keep going.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I lost my reason to play because I thought.
Yep. Yeah. And they're in the process of season 3, and so this is the situation that they're at.
Which is going to be the last season they announced.
Well, yeah, it has to be. This is the last thing that they're doing, period. So, and they're not even certain because they've only got the first episode out. They're not even sure if they can get the rest of the episodes out. Like, they're frantically trying to figure out how to end this thing because they have laid off like 80% of their staff. Like 200 to 300 people is what I was hearing, and there's only 25 people left in the company that are finishing their obligations to their shareholders and all that kind of stuff. It's a really bad situation, and because of that, that's where the drama is about them not paying the right wages from leading up to this because they were having money troubles and they were trying to get stuff out. Because another thing is that Telltale games, and this is other people have been talking about it, and I agree with them. So I don't want to take credit for this opinion. I'm just merely agreeing with the people that have been saying, and I want to show that to our audience, is that the reason why I think that Telltale Games has gone bankrupt is the fact that their games aren't actually, like, they say your choices have consequences, but they really don't. Like, even in the Walking Dead game, like, you choose, like, people who, like, live and die and stuff like that, but that only matters in the moment. And by the end of it's always the same ending. No matter what you do in the game, you always have the same ending. And that was a constant throughout their series. Meanwhile, you have, I mean, it's a recent example, but Detroit Become Human, where there is several endings, and not only several endings, but you can have basically everyone die in the game, or have no one die in the game.
And everything in between.
And everything in between. Each of those have severely different storylines because of that. Like, it's not like you get a different ending. It's like, no, your game changes the moment you make a decision.
Does Detroit Becoming Human come out for all systems?
No, that's the same company that made Beyond Two Souls and Heavy Rain. It's always been a PlayStation exclusive.
Only.
Yeah, but it's such a good game because they slipped a little bit with Beyond Two Souls. It was a bit underwhelming and not as good.
I was gonna say
because Heavy Rain was such a good hit for them in Beyond Two Souls because they take a lot of time with these games, you know. And Detroit Become Human, they finally they listened to all the feedback, and boy did they deliver because everybody's been in love with this game.
Makes me want to get a PlayStation.
Yeah, you should, man.
Between that and Spider-Man.
Yeah, you got it. For those two games alone. And you've been playing, speaking of PlayStation exclusives, you've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn.
I have. I played it a little bit and really enjoyed it. It's more story-based than any games that I usually play. And it's open world, so...
And it's just beautiful.
It is very gorgeous.
That's a nice thing about PlayStation exclusive I've been finding, is that they're always so amazing looking. Like, just all the time. I'm just blown away by how they look.
I really like just looking at the video game while playing it. I mean, like, again, I'm not much of a gamer, but I've mostly done first-person shooters, that sort of thing. Just like instant action, fight someone. With this one, it's like
there's definitely action.
There's action, but it's also like a lot of it is story-based, and I really appreciate that because I like to just sit back and see what's going on, and also it's. There's action, but it's different action from what I'm used to.
Because it's more like...
It's creeping around.
Yeah, surviving.
It's being very, very accurate as opposed to just like shooting everywhere, which is what I'm used to.
Gotta be effective.
Yeah, I'm shooting a bow and arrow. Like, I'm not good at that. At a moving target, so I'm really...
Back to Spider-Man, though.
No, we're talking about video games.
Did you...
forward a little bit.
Okay. Hello. So, Spider-Man... Did you guys hear that the new Spider-Man game is going to be like the first of many in like a video game universe?
You mean like for other superhero characters?
Yeah, for a Marvel video game universe.
That's awesome.
Ooh,
yeah,
I like that.
So like Spider-Man will have sequels, and then they'll have other games for the superheroes.
Something I did. We're gonna talk about that at some point.
Yeah.
Because we
need to play that.
I need to play it for myself. I'm not gonna just say it's enough to just watch it from other people. That's what I did with like Doki Doki Literature Club, and that makes sense because it's very
watching
story-based.
Someone play. That's another one. The new God of War. I would get.
They're on fire with their exclusives right now.
I know, and like I'm past that point where I don't really care about loyalties anymore. I just want to play good games and play. I'll go on record and say PlayStation has better games right now, and they make me excited.
Also, also Nintendo's killing it with
I know.
exclusives too. So Xbox is just really feeling like.
Bowser.
No, Bowsette sucks. I'm glad I'm finally getting to say that. Bowsette sucks. It needs to go back to the hole that it came from.
How does it make you feel?
Bad.
Anyways,
No.
let's tie it way back here. Bring it back to Telltale.
Wait, I had one other thing.
Okay, go on.
But I forget now. No, it's this. I've been watching Jacksepticeye play God of War.
Nice.
Yeah, that one has been fun to watch. So, because you were talking about watching.
Yeah. Anyways,
Continue.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned Jacksepticeye guys because them and PewDiePie
Jacksepticeye.
and all of them, that was a huge thing for the Let's Play community, Walking Dead, Telltale series.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what really helped that company take off, you know?
Yeah, because they had done, you're right, they did the Lego games.
Yeah.
I love the Lego games
and
so
I think
much.
they got so excited because just like the Lego games, this is the type of game that could be applied to so many different universes. So they went crazy. They made so many games.
How did they go bankrupt then?
Because their games wasn't making enough money.
Really?
And I think, like I said, hold on, I'm gonna Google something.
I feel like
List of all Telltale games.
I feel like they made games that were like staples to like gaming. But people like took them for granted that they existed.
Shut up! Sorry, not you, Wesley.
What were you saying, Wesley? I was trying to listen to you over the sound of this woman.
I know, it's so rude. Your phone is rude. I was saying that I think Telltale like had some really staple formulas, like the Lego games and their story games. But I think people took them for granted that they like existed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that is part of it. However, they also just oversaturated their own market with games that actually were not that great, because the thing is, like I said, it's the illusion of choice. You don't actually have choice. Your choices have minor consequences and do not even affect the ending. At the bare minimum, even if it doesn't affect it to the level as Detroit becomes
Did you
human.
hear someone else say this?
Yes, but it's also because in my experience of playing their games, and it's like you're right, because they only got away with this at first because it was new and people didn't know what to expect, and people thought
it felt like your choices would transfer to the next season, and so you hoped they would have consequences there.
But then you realize as you started playing more of Walking Dead and you played more of their other games, it's the same ending no matter how you play the game, and that kind of gets old, because the thing is that when it comes down to it, there's not a lot of gameplay in these games. The main gameplay is you choosing the story and you making decisions and all these kinds of stuff. If that isn't important in the game, it isn't a focal point, then there's really not a huge point to play the game. Yeah. So, because if you just want to see a story, then you could just watch someone else play, or you could just watch a movie. Like, it doesn't make sense in a video game aspect not to have that kind of interaction, you know?
The only biggest changes I could see in the first season of The Walking Dead was whether or not Lee was going to die with or without an arm.
Yeah.
Because like at one point you had the choice between cutting his arm off or not, but he was going to die anyway. So it's just, is he going to die?
And that's what I mean.
With only one arm or with two arms?
There'd be some stuff that seems like it matters at first, but then you get to the end and then you realize all ends the same no matter what.
because what made that, the reason I didn't realize that in the first season is because I felt like the choices I did make would carry over and affect things in the second season. But I never played the second season, so I can't say.
And to my knowledge, it doesn't really at all, because the thing is that for the most part, each season has an almost entirely new cast of characters, with the exception of Clementine.
Yeah.
She's the only, I know coming into season 3, she's the only remaining original character from the series. So, in very Walking Dead fashion.
Yeah, no kidding. Andrew Lincoln's leaving the show soon.
Yeah.
There's like 3 people left from the original cast right now, I think.
Yeah, I lost interest in that show.
Yeah, we talked about that and our disappointment with that. Yeah. But I want to make sure that, Telltale Games was so much more than just Walking Dead, Yeah. And because, that was their biggest hit. And then Wolf Among Us was big. And people have been really looking forward to season 2, which, by the way, they will probably never get. Because they're at least trying to finish Walking Dead, because they're literally in the middle of releasing it. And how they release it episodically, the game has been like half made. And they're trying to scramble to finish this. Because it's part of like their responsibilities to their people who are their shareholders and stuff like that. That they need to finish this to make whatever money they can. But in the process, they're treating their employees horrible, and it's just a big mess. I just feel really bad, because this is I don't want to see companies like this fail,
Have you heard people like crying out for like Netflix should buy Telltale and they should make all of their tie-in games for their shows?
I've heard that there was like some connection where people were talking about how there was possibly future connections between Telltale and Netflix. Like they were going to come up with some,
that would have been cool.
Thing.
If Netflix was to jump into the video game market, that would make the most sense. Because it's the most movie-like video game genre there is.
Yeah. It'd be like tie-ins for their stuff.
Yeah. Because, they've done stuff with Marvel and DC, so it would make sense. Netflix already does that kind of stuff. Or even, like, stuff within their own original stuff. Like, can you imagine playing a Black Mirror Telltale game?
That'd be so cool.
But
that would throw me off a lot more than the TV show does.
But let me be clear. A good Telltale game, not what they've been putting out, which is your choices don't matter, basically.
Yeah.
Even though they constantly tell you, your choices matter, but they don't, and that's just frustrating, And then, like I said, I feel like their sales have been really down because people have been realizing more and more that that's really the case. And especially with the release of Detroit Become Human, when you see how a game of this genre is really supposed to be, when they bring it to the absolute max. Like I said, when you make a decision, it affects the game permanently from that moment on.
Yeah.
Like, your immediate things that you're doing right after that is affected, and it affects your ending. It affects everything.
I was just thinking that a Black Mirror game could have at least 3 endings. 1, you die. 2, you're alive. And 3, you're alive but you wish you were dead. Which is normally what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that about sums up every ending.
Yeah, the ending of every episode of that show. Yeah.
You were alive but you wish you were dead.
Yep.
That's unfortunately so common for a lot of them. Where it's just like, I'm alive but this is horrible.
Yep.
Oh man, you remember when I watched? I won't go too much on a tangent, but the one that really had me depressed was the one that was all in black and white. With that,
the weird,
hunting thing,
the mutant K9 from Doctor Who. Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Wait,
just the fact
it's the one where the woman is being hunted by like these robotic dogs.
Oh yeah,
dude, that
what the heck?
I was given so much
spoiler alert. She dies because she was trying to get a stupid stuffed bear for a kid.
Yeah,
they all died.
You know what episode freaked me out the most? The museum one.
Yeah, that one was weird.
Yeah, that one freaked me out.
That one's got
Shuri.
Yeah. I realized that.
That was the first time I had ever seen her in anything.
Yeah. She plays a totally different character in that, so it's really weird to watch that.
Yeah.
With
she was scary.
Black Panther.
Yeah.
But anyways, that would be really cool. But yeah, I think that would be really their only hope, because from this on, Telltale's just going to cease to exist. There's not going to be. There's people who want Walking Dead to be finished, but then there's also people who are so disgusted with how Telltale's been treating their employees lately that they don't even want to buy the games anymore because they don't want to support them as a company. But at this point, it's like, I just feel bad, because I know that this is not how they wanted to do it. They're looking at this as like a direct offense to the people. I'm sure they didn't do this as they're like a dick kind of company and they just want to treat their employees badly. This is because of just one bad decision after another, following with financial pressure. This is the kind of crap that happens, you know? But a bright side to this, though, so many game companies reached out to anyone who was being laid off by the Telltale games closing. So not to worry about all these people that suddenly got laid off. There is so many companies that are willing to take these people in that it's really, really cool. I saw at least 20 companies that were like, please, we are willing to take in you guys, and like, please get in contact with us. We can find a place for you. Like, just immediate like support for these guys. And I thought that was really cool. Because like I said, it's not often we see this happening. Video games are very like on one of the most popular streaks they've been in a long time. And like video game developer jobs have only become more and more in demand. So really, once you make it to the big times like Telltale has, it's not often to see that kind of company fail. Yeah, they have lower points, but you don't see them go this far, you know? So it's unusual and it's disappointing, and it's sad, you know, because it's something that we all used to love, you know. It's depressing, you know. It's been a good while since we've seen a beloved game company go out of business. So it's sad, and I want what's best for the employees. And
rip Insomniac Games. Wait, no, not
Insomniac. What
fine, I thought.
Not Insomniac. What game company went away that everybody loves?
There was another one.
There was another one similar to that. Pandemic. That's what it was. The one that originally did Battlefront. Yeah. Pandemic.
Yeah. And I think this also is starting to show that game companies that rely on licensed franchises aren't as beneficial as they used to be. Remember when, I'm so glad I don't really see this anymore. Remember in like the PS2 and Xbox days where movie-based video games was such a big category. Like, sorry, games based on movies was such a big category.
There was a video game for every movie that came out. Like,
it was ridiculous. Everybody was, and I don't think
they weren't that great.
No, they were notorious for being awful. Ironically, we were talking about Spider-Man. That was one of the very few games that I actually loved.
Spider-Man 2 was actually really good.
Wasn't there an X-Men Origins video game that was better than the actual movie?
Yeah, X-Men Origins Wolverine was like 10 times better than the movie. Like, everyone loved the game, and the movie was horrible.
Yeah.
And
that was such an awful section of video games. That was probably one of the lower points of video games. You know, it's just having so much.
It was like a novelty to people. Like, we have a movie.
Everybody
make a game for it.
Sometimes
I'm playing Prince Caspian and Narnia.
What?
That was the thing. Yeah, there was a Prince Caspian.
Game,
Like, they didn't care.
I had that.
Every movie was a video game.
I played.
Back then.
Oh, you know what was super fun? Okay, no, seriously, the Game Boy version of the Star Wars Episode 3 game was so fun. It was completely different than the console version of the game.
Well, I thought the console version of the game was really cool, wasn't it? I heard they had like different options, like you could actually have Darth Vader survive.
Yeah, because you could choose to play as Obi-Wan or Anakin.
Yeah.
It actually, so yeah, that was another good one. But like the Game Boy one was so cool because it was like more arcadey. Really? And like the art style was really neat. Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Again, that hasn't been mentioned in a long time. Was Harry Potter Deathly Hallows Part 1, the video game, being one of the worst video games ever made.
Really? Why?
Yeah. It was so not well made. It was so glitchy. It had very little to do with the actual story of Harry Potter in that movie. And it was just so bad. Like, you should look up. I literally haven't even thought about this game in like 4 years. And just talking about bad movie adaptation video games made me think about it again.
How did you use your wands? You just push a button really fast?
And that's another problem. They tried to get fancy with how you would use your wands, and it was really complicated and not.
I'm pointing my wand as hard as I can.
Oh man. But yeah, so I feel like it's going to be starting to be a trend where we see licensed heavy video game companies are just not going to do as well as they used to. You know.
Yeah. So I'm reliving my past right now.
In what way?
See, like, look, this was what it looked like on Game Boy. It looks like that Scott Pilgrim game, only Star Wars.
That is pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
You guys should go.
Wait, hold on a second.
Just Google it.
That's for episode 3?
Yeah.
Inaccurate. Those are phase 1 clones.
I know.
What the heck?
You know what's another funny thing is a lot of the video games came out before the movie. I think
wasn't that weird?
Yeah, that was super weird. And so people would try to like play the video games just to get a hint at what the plot was, but a lot of times the video games had nothing to do.
It was totally different. Yeah.
Wasn't there one for episode 1 of Star Wars?
Probably. I mean,
there
almost
was.
definitely. There was something for like literally. There was a period of time where literally every movie that had even a little tad of action in it was even TV shows. I remember playing Jimmy Neutron.
I love the Jimmy Neutron game. Oh, it was so cool.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay. What you got for us, Alex?
Okay, what I got is the last X-Men movie from Fox is just released a trailer. I mean, am I wrong?
No, you're right.
They did.
Yeah.
They did do that.
It's the Dark Pheonix trailer.
Yeah.
Like, it's basically the story that we wanted to have in the X-Men Last Stand, and we didn't. Now, again, I feel bad because I don't know a lot about X-Men, but I also feel like I have to talk about this trailer because it seems to me that they're doing better than Last Stand, but again, it seems very similar. And also, it's just, this movie's production has been in total whack.
Yeah,
the entire time.
Yeah, because they just delayed it again.
Yeah, so
to June. Originally, it was supposed to come out this year.
It was supposed to.
It was supposed to be a fall movie.
I thought was it a fall movie?
I'll give you because it was on my list of movies to see this year.
I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be November, wasn't it?
I thought it was coming out
like
during
this month.
Infinity War.
Let's see.
Original release.
November 2nd is when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right, so that wouldn't have been too much of a delay from then to they were gonna release it on February
14th.
14th
is what the trailer said, and then almost
a
immediately,
couple days later from the trailer,
not even almost it was like barely a day, like almost immediately.
And
after.
they're like, sorry, June.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Hey,
so we meant June.
So this movie's almost being delayed an entire year, which is pretty sad.
That's always disconcerting for movies that you're really excited about because you hear like, oh yeah, we're doing reshoots.
Because, I was gonna say I heard it because of reshoots.
Yeah, they did that for Suicide Squad. They did it for Solo. They did it for Justice League.
Bad news.
Yeah.
Although I like
However,
Solo.
I want to say, I think there actually could be a good reason for them doing this. This is my optimistic side because I'm a big fan of the X-Men franchise.
Mm-hmm.
It was Wolverine is still my favorite superhero, and I remember as a kid the original X-Men movies was one of my favorite, like that's what made me excited about superheroes was the X-Men original movies, especially in X2 when you see the whole like campus of heroes. I just thought that was the coolest thing for some reason, you know. Maybe it's because they were also kids and I was a kid and I just wanted to pretend I could be like a mutant, you know. So I don't know. Anyways, I think that this movie, just right off the trailer, is like you mentioned, it's looking like it's very reminiscent of the Last Stand movie, which interestingly enough canonly does exist and doesn't exist anymore because Days to Future Past basically erased the events in Last Stand. Very clever, one of the most clever ways to deal with a bad movie that I've seen in a canon fashion.
But that's something that I do not understand. Is like, okay, so X-Men 2 did not happen. So is that
no? X-Men 3 did not happen.
X-Men 3 didn't happen. So does that mean that Jean Grey got onto the plane and they were all able to leave and survive? And if so, what's the point of this movie? Because at X-Men Days of Future Past, at the ending, we see that Jean's alive, we see that Scott's alive, we see that Beast is okay. All the characters who are supposed to be in danger in this movie show up later on in the series. So
you're not sure if they're.
So I don't know if there's anything that we have to worry about.
So the thing is,
a wibbly wobbly timey.
There's two ways to look at this. You could look at it as a potential spoiler, as we know that none of these characters are actually in risk because they basically already spoiled that for us. Or they could argue the point that, yeah, that's just the future as it was, with future events now happening, it's changing the future as it's going along.
Yeah.
That's the argument that they could make if they decide to not go that route, which they could.
Or maybe Logan was dreaming.
Because the future's still in flux because it hasn't happened yet.
That's what I'm saying.
So like up to that point at the end of Days of Future Past, that's what the future will be up to that point.
Right.
With things still happening that could affect that.
Right, because basically Days of Future Past...
That would be good enough for me, actually.
It would, because the thing is, the Days of Future Past does not only change the future, but it changed because you also made the characters in that timeline aware of the future, so it's still changing because now they're aware of stuff that they shouldn't have been aware of, so it's having a cascading effect of them.
Days of Future Past, you messed everything up.
Yeah, it's very timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly.
You've affected everything.
But this, like I said, it's very reminiscent to Last Stand, but on top of that, it looks like they're really starting to come full circle with this movie ending close to X1. Yeah. And I think with the reshoots, which is where I've been going with this, I think knowing that there's a very low likelihood of them continuing with the same crew and cast, this is going to be the last X-Men movie in this series of X-Men movies, they want to have it actually have a definitive end, because I don't think that they were intending on this being the last X-Men movie. I think they still had...
That could be true.
Yeah, I think they still had one or two more that they wanted to do, but I think that now they're trying to close it off and have a seamless flow.
And I'm not saying it should happen immediately, or that they should... I don't, like... It's just, like, a fact that they should start over with Marvel, because there's so many things that aren't happening at the right time. You know what I mean? Like... Because Wolverine is actually supposed to be present during the Dark Pheonix event. And, like, he was for X3, but now he's not for this one. And it's like, they can't because he's dead, die, or whatever.
It's
like,
spoiler for X-Men and potentially this movie as well.
There's just things that are happening really out of order. Like, missed opportunities, basically.
The director for this movie, Simon Kinberg, he said that after the events of Last Stand were basically demolished because of Days of Future Past, he said that he expressed an interest in doing a more faithful adaptation. So hopefully it'll be better than what we got.
I think it'll be more accurate too.
Right. Well, you said that, I don't know how the Phoenix works, or the Dark Phoenix works exactly.
It's basically Jean Grey's. It's Jean Grey's breaking point, is what it is.
Yeah, well, isn't it like a space entity or something?
I know it's a totally different person. Like, it's a... I don't really know much about it, but I know it's like a split personality kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it says in the premise that they go to space and something goes wrong and she gets whooped or something. Yeah, it didn't say that.
She gets whooped.
She gets whooped into Dark Phoenix.
I think the thing is
Phoenix.
that this...
I don't know!
This makes sense because Jean Grey was going to have this breaking point at one point or another, but in this timeline, it's happening sooner than it did in the original timeline.
Yeah.
So...
I don't understand, because this movie happens in the 1990s, and I just want to say it, Xavier and Eric Lencher or Magneto, they look exactly the same. It's been 30 years since First Class.
I would argue...
And they still look that good.
I would argue they've done a lot of work on Xavier, especially in this movie, how he's looking. He's definitely looking... Patrick Stewart-esque.
However, only reason Magneto, because of that, though, is because he's finally bald in this movie. He was only kind of bald in the first.
It's more than just that. He actually does look older, but I will definitely agree with you on Magneto.
James McAvoy is probably so tired just because of the Split movie. Okay,
listen to this for a second.
It's true.
I'm going to tell you what the Phoenix Force is an immortal and immutable manifestation of the universal force of life and passion. Born of the void between states of being, the Phoenix Force is a child of the universe. It is the nexus of all psionic energy, which does, has, and ever will exist in all realities of the multiverse. The Phoenix is among the most feared beings in all of existence. So yeah, it's like an entity that has attached itself to Jean Grey.
Oh.
So yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like Venom. But not really.
It's kind of a lot more intense, I think.
Yeah. No, yeah, and that's another thing that they were trying to do with Last Stand, is make it very intense, but I think they just missed the mark on that.
She was basically the Infinity Gauntlet in that movie. She was turning everything into dust.
Yeah.
She turned Professor Xavier into dust.
Yeah, I don't feel so good. Yeah.
I do,
but I really want this to be good.
Well, I think we all want it to be good.
Yeah. X-Men's been fairly consistent lately, because the more I've been thinking about it, the more I realize that Apocalypse is the really only subpar movie of recent, because First Class was obviously great. Days of Future Past, in my opinion, was the best X-Men movie since X2. And they actually had a good Wolverine movie with Logan. So I feel like X-Men, with the exception of Apocalypse...
I think the Wolverine was doing pretty decent up until the third act. The Wolverine movie that came out before Logan. The one that was in Japan.
Sorry,
so the third act was good, but the rest of it was
No. The first 2/3 were pretty good.
What?
Okay.
Of the Wolverine movie. Remember the one where he goes to Japan?
Yeah, just the Wolverine, not Wolverine, not Origins.
Yeah, I've only seen that one once. I just remember it being better than Origins.
It was better, but it also wasn't great. It was good.
Yeah.
And that was it.
It had a cool train scene.
See, that's another thing about, like, Hugh Jackman's portrayal of the Wolverine is, like, I think only half the movies that he was actually in as Wolverine were actually good. Right?
No, because let's see.
How many movies
X1,
was he in?
X2,
7 movies,
X3.
Right?
Was not, so X3 wasn't
he had
great.
3 of his own movies, and then there was the original movies, and then he had a cameo in First Class, and then he was in X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yeah, he was a big part of Days of Future Past. So Days of Future Past was
7.
So X1, X2, good. X3, bad. You keep track of the bad ones. X3, bad. So that's on one so far. And
Origins.
then what was it like? And then was it Origins?
Origins,
so that's bad for you.
we will put
the
Wolverine as also bad.
Yeah. So you got the one.
Okay.
What else are... So Days of Future Past? Good.
Logan.
Good. So that's 4. Wait, 3.
That's 3.
And then technically, if you
Wait,
want to
that's 4.
No, that's 3.
No, that's 4.
X-Men
Logan
1,
and Days of Future Past, X 1 and 2.
All right.
So I got 4.
And then if you wanted to count First Class, he was
Do we
just a
want to?
cameo. But even then,
he was pretty great in that
He
cameo.
still had 4, without a doubt, good movies.
Okay, you're right. So 4 good, 2 bad, and 1 eh.
So he's got a good track record.
Yeah, okay. It was better than I thought it was.
Yeah. So
There's
cool.
like 12
No,
X-Men
I know it
movies
seems worse than
Like
it is.
how we just did that.
It seems worse than it is because 2 of the bad movies that he was in was his own movies. Like,
yeah, I think that's what made me think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I understand.
2 of the 3
his fault,
solo ones were just...
because Hugh Jackman's performance in all of them has been just phenomenal. Like his dedication to this role has like really shaped, you know, everything about
now he's
Wolverine.
the greatest showman.
Yeah, I know, right? But the thing is,
I really like that movie.
Yeah.
and then we kind of just like bring it back to what we started out with, you know, with actors and like Jared Leto. Like, I feel like I really hate seeing really good actors screwed by crappy storylines and writing. You know, I feel like that's what Jared Leto ended up with. I think he just did awesome. I'm treading on water here. Tom
Holland. Don't you dare.
No.
Don't touch Tom.
My opinion was just not my favorite, but not because of him, but because of the writing. So same reason there. And then just same thing with the Wolverine movies. Hugh Jackman was great in those, but the movie itself was just not great. So he made the most of it as he could. It wasn't his fault. You know?
Speaking of Logan, I do want to point out that I have listened to the podcast that Will was talking about on the previous podcast, the episode.
The Wolverine,
The Wolverine, The Long Night, which
really
is
good,
very
guys.
good. And Wolverine is voiced by Richard Armitage, who is a pretty well-known actor. Who I'm a very big fan of.
Oh, it is? Okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
cool.
you
They're actually, they're like, people like, he should be Wolverine next, basically just because he looks like Hugh Jackman. Or like build-wise and stuff like that.
But he's also kind of the same age. Well,
Yeah, that too. I was like, no.
So, now that we talk... Oh, also another one to point out in the trailer. We see his... I knew the name going into this and I forgot. The dome thing where he goes into Xavier.
Cerebro.
The Cerebro, thank you.
Cerebro.
Cerebro.
Well, because Deadpool uses it. He
Siri.
like puts it on, he's like, I know what you think.
Yeah. But I think that's really cool to see that. And I feel like that's another reason why I feel like this is really trying to
Didn't
get
he
close
have
to
it
X1.
in all the other movies, though?
No.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
It was in the last one.
It was?
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
in it was in the one before that.
Yeah.
Except he just had
Yeah,
dust
this
on
isn't the first time.
He had it on.
Because he's put it on with hair.
There was dust on it.
That's
and he
right.
blew it off.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you're right. I'm dumb. I don't know.
William's dumb on
Yeah.
record.
An interesting mirror sound is, or something that was kind of harkened back to Logan, where Charles Xavier just looks at Logan. He's like, well, "Logan, what have you done?" And then in this movie, Mystique says the same thing to Charles. It's just like, "Charles, what have you done?" It's like, "Well, what have you guys done? What did you do in this?"
I feel like they're really trying to, because we were talking about the differences between Magneto and Xavier and about how they're both on the same side but have different
we
reasons.
literally talked about that earlier.
Yeah,
today.
we
Yeah.
were doing. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, and I was so like I think Magneto is one of my favorite supervillains across all like comic book stuff things because he's one of those characters where he's a bad guy, but he's not
a
really
bad guy.
bad
Yeah. No, he's
necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The debate is whether is only because they both want to protect their own kind, being mutants, and the only difference between the two is how they deal with non-mutants.
It's kind of like a Thanos kind of situation where his like you understand where he's coming from and his motives are good, but his methods are just whack. Yeah.
He's just whack, man.
Yeah.
But I will say, the thing about the two is that I feel like they start to disagree to the point where
they make each other more extreme.
Right.
Yeah.
They're both extremists in their own right. Xavier trusts humans
He's
too much.
Yeah,
to the point
Xavier's
where
way too pacifist, and no, Charles is way too pacifist, and Magneto is like way too like kill everybody, like take over the world.
Yeah.
Because it's like. No, we just need to let them make us equal, and the opposite end of no, we just need to be better than them, because they won't. Yeah, it's like two different views on social justice at their extreme.
I think a lot of crap is going to go down in this movie. potential spoilers. Do you guys want to talk about it? Maybe.
As in for
Jean dies.
No, Jean. Oh, I don't know about Jean.
I have no idea.
Mystique dies.
You think she dies?
I'm pretty sure she dies because.
How could she die though? Because no, I'm sorry.
By
Game's
being
changed.
stabbed. I don't know.
Staboo. Why is she gonna be Staboo?
I don't know.
Where did that come from?
All I know is
you just think she's gonna be stabbed.
Okay, no, I think.
Have we talked about this before?
Here's the thing. I believe that Mystique is gonna die because you see them around a grave, and then you also see Beast. What's it? Hank? Yeah, Hank is really annoyed at, or not annoyed. He's beyond angry.
He wants to be the only blue person.
Well, you also see him standing with Magneto against the other characters.
You do?
So it looks like, there's a scene where he's literally standing right next to Magneto.
Yeah,
and
I feel like that's trickery.
I don't know.
I don't believe.
I don't trust trailers to really tell me anything.
See him holding Mystique and crying as Beast in the trailer.
You do?
Did you miss that?
I missed that. Wow.
Clearly, Alex has done his research.
No,
Yeah.
I watched a video about it.
Oh, I do want to say, though, that she looks the most like Mystique should in this movie than Mystique has ever looked.
She looks
in the
good.
Movies.
Yeah.
She looks good with clothes on.
Yes. People. Yes.
I do want to point out.
Wear clothes, please.
I do want to point out though that I'm not a big fan of the suits in this trailer.
I love
They
them.
look so bland.
No, I
They
love
look like
them.
$5 suits that you get at a Halloween store.
You got like the cool yellow X across,
Only-
and then it's navy blue down the
right
rest.
at the end of X-Men
It's so
Apocalypse.
cool!
Not a good movie, X-Men Apocalypse, but at the end they had some very
Let's
cool suits, and
take
they're all unique.
a
They had the
gander.
correct Mystique costume, they had the correct Nightcrawler costume, and yeah! I'm gonna take a drink of water now.
I'm gonna take a potato chip.
I totally
And
spelled
eat it.
apocalypse wrong,
Wow.
but here we go.
It's with
Wait,
a Y.
I know that. Are you talking about these?
Yes,
Those?
yes, those.
That?
That is correct.
That?
That is accurate.
I don't like. Wait, I need to look at.
Okay,
it again.
look, Jean. So Storm has her cape thingy.
Yeah.
Nightcrawler has his red
Yeah.
thing, and Quicksilver has his silver stuff.
But here's my problem with it. It's dumb.
What?
It's dumb.
I really like.
What they're wearing now is not even armor. It's just.
I
never
but
was.
It's way but it's way more accurate.
Yeah.
Like that's just one way the comics have shown it. They don't
already-
ever wear armor. They
they're-
wear like
The first class version
Underwear.
was so much better.
I do like the first class.
There's a
actually.
reason why we don't have
yeah,
superheroes.
they're
in
like going
tights
back
anymore.
to kind of
Yeah.
what the.
Because the thing is that they get all edgy with the original X-Men ones, and they're just all black, which is cool. I like how they're basically leading up to why they have those suits in a way. You know, just the mentality
I
behind.
was
that.
gonna say they're just so clean and looking.
Yeah.
Something that I was
I
very
love 'em.
something I was very annoyed about was that
Good.
the armor in X-Men Days of Future Past, when they're in the future, I really like that armor, and you barely see it at all.
Yeah.
It
I remember one
crap
thing
out of me.
that Days of Future Past did really great was really up the intensity of feeling like, yo, these guys
That's
could
peak.
die.
That's peak X.
Oh, get your sky high crap out of here.
Are you kidding? Sky High is awesome, but
No.
My Hero Academia is better.
Sidekick.
Oh,
I love that
Do
movie.
they have
I can't
sidekicks
believe
with
you
the
brought Sky
X-Men?
High into this.
Sorry, I had to.
Coach Boomer.
Jeez, I do not like that movie.
Why
How do you
not?
not like that
It's just
movie?
dumb.
I
it's
love that
So
movie.
corny.
I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Will Stronghold.
I don't know. There's a lot of movies that I resent from that era
I
of
love
like
it.
2000s.
I love it so
I don't
much.
know. There's just so many bad movies made in that time. Like
Well,
I
yeah.
feel like kids don't know how good we have it with the quality movies that we have right now, especially
Yeah.
with superhero movies. We're living the dream right now. There's so many not. We have so few bad movies out right now. Like
Kids
we just
these
really
days got
emphasize
one bad Fantastic Four movie. We had two.
We had 3.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we do.
None of them were good.
And did you know that there was actually a Fantastic Four movie before that?
Yes.
But was also so
There's
resented.
a
that
Captain America movie before.
Yeah.
Oh, the
But
90s
no,
Captain
the,
America.
the original Fantastic Four movie got the Star Wars Holiday Special treatment
Oh, my
of just
word.
burning without existence. That's why you never hear about it. Yeah.
It's just gone.
Stan
Don't know
Lee
what the holiday
hated
special is
it.
though.
Yeah.
Wow.
So. All right.
Well, that's all I got. So.
Yeah, it was a good conversation, guys.
I'm ranting about stuff.
Good job using your words.
Good.
It works.
And yes,
Words. Yeah. Well, yeah. So
that's a wrap.
we're excited because I was gonna say that
Basically
we're
every podcast.
Venom's coming out soon. We're finally going to be able to see
Are we going to go a podcast without talking about Venom?
Can we tell we're excited?
I think not.
Can you tell we're excited about everything?
All right.
Everything.
Well, I like breathing.
I like trains.
I like trains.
I like rusty spoons.
With that, take us away. Well,
bye.
That's not the end. That's not
how we say goodbye on this podcast.
Stay kind, geeks. Bye.
Unbelievable. Inconceivable!